Hello, it's Beth from Ruth Stitchery and ruthstitchery.com, and it's demo day. We've decided to demo one of our favorite tools that I think almost all of the staff uses or have used at one time, and if you've taken classes from us, you probably hear us bring this tool up quite a bit. And it is a tool used for trimming down flying geese, and I absolutely love it. You've probably heard me say before, I'm not a huge gadget girl. Like, I don't personally always need the latest rulers or anything that come out, but when you show me that something works as well as this works, I'm all over it. So of course, I'm a lazy quilter, so anything that's going to make it even easier for me, I'm going to jump on that. And so we are going to be talking about the wing clipper. Let me put this in front of it so you can see it. We're going to talk about the wing clipper from Studio 180. This is a trim down tool, but it is the size of your regular quilting ruler, the depth, so you can put a rotary cutter right up to the edge. And this particular tool has 10 different sizes of flying geese that you can trim down, which is lovely. So I want to walk you through some of the things that I just absolutely love about this tool that will help you be more accurate and more efficient in your quilting, especially when you've got a quilt that you're making that has a lot of flying geese. So I wanted to start out by showing you the little pamphlet that comes with this tool. It not only walks you through step by step, like I'm about to, in how to make, how to use this tool and how to make your flying geese. It is the method that's called no waste flying geese. You're making 4 at a time, so it's perfect when you have lots of geese that are the same fabrics. You want to use it. So this little booklet that comes with it, it walks you step by step how to use the method of the no waste flying geese, and then how to use the tool to trim it down. But what I wanted to show you too was that inside is a little chart. So you can turn any pattern that you have that doesn't use this method into using this method simply using the chart that they've got listed here. So as long as you know what your finished geese size is in your quilt, you can just find it on the chart, find out this is the unfinished, and then it tells you what size squares to cut to do this method. So you could easily turn any pattern that you're doing into using this technique. So the wing clipper one is all your sort of standard size flying geese that you'll find in most of your patterns. So I want to first walk you through how do you make no waste flying geese. So you start out, I'll just take one of these that are in here, say the 2x4. So if you know that 2x4 is your finished size, 2.5 by 4.5 is your unfinished size, and then it tells you you need to cut a 5.5 inch square of the fabric that is going to be the large triangle of your flying geese, and then 4 3-inch squares for basically what ends up being the points of your flying geese. So there's less cutting involved using this method as well. So that's how you read this chart. So you're going to start out and you've got one large square. So there's my larger square. That's going to be the larger triangles of my flying geese. And then I have 4 smaller squares, and these are going to end up being the points of my flying geese. So this is all you have to cut to make your 4 flying geese. So you start out, I love this magic wand, but you can use any 1/2 inch tool that you have. This is the magic wand that's made by the same company, the Studio 180. And so I'm going to have you zoom in and see on the wrong side of your smaller squares, you're going to take your magic wand, which is a 1/2 inch wide, and you are going to lay it down. There's a single line in this tool right down the center, and you're going to line that line point to point. And once I have it lined up, I'm going to draw my sew lines so that they show up on the wrong side of my small squares. And I'm going to do that on the back of all of my squares. So I've done that on all of these. So then my next step, I'm going to pull this down. Next step is I'm going to take 2 of these smaller squares and I'm going to put them diagonally across from each other, right sides together, on top of the larger square. And you can see that now I have 2 lines that are coming all the way across, and they will overlap in the center. So it is supposed to overlap so that that creates your seam allowance. So once I have them right sides together, I'm going to take that to my sewing machine and I'm going to stitch right on the line that I drew all the way down. Okay, once I have done that, I'm going to go back to my cutting table and I'm going to take my rotary cutter and ruler and I'm going to cut this piece apart diagonally right in the middle of these 2 sew lines so that I have 2 pieces here. I'm going to head to my ironing board and I'm going to press toward the smaller triangles. Okay, I still have these 2 squares left over from the beginning of my cutting, and these 2 right sides together end up going right in the corner of these 2, I like to call them the little heart shapes that you end up with, but you'll put these last 2 right sides together right there in the corners of these, and again you are going to stitch right on the lines that you drew, and you're going to do that on both of those. You're going to cut them apart. Let me put that there. You're going to cut it apart again right down the center, so you now have 4, because you're going to do that to both of those pieces, and you're going to have 4 pieces that look like this. Again, you're going to go to your ironing board and you're going to press, let me do it this way, you're going to press toward the triangles, the smaller triangles that is. So I'm going to put them here. So you end up with these 4 flying geese that are identical, but the beauty of this method is that you have made these just slightly larger than what they actually need to be to sew into your quilt. And so if you get a little bit wonky in your sewing, something's just slightly off, that's okay, because you're going to trim these down, and that's where the wing clipper tool comes into play. So I'm going to set this wing clipper up here so that you can see all of the measurements that are on this wing clipper. So it goes from making a 1.5 by 1 inch flying geese. Why you would make one that small, I don't know. Oh wait, we're making them in Summer Moon right now. So yes, you will make them that small. And this goes all the way up to 5.5 by 10.5. So you've got all the sizes in between that as well. But you can see that there's lots of little cross hatches on here, and that is to help you not chop off your seam allowance. And that is what you use to guide you as you trim these flying geese down. So I always like to start with the large flying geese pointing up, and then I will take this tool and put it on top. Let me move that down a little bit. I'll put it on top, and these that I'm making are actually the 2 by 3.5 inch. And so I'm looking at this little cross hatch here, and I'm gonna line that little cross hatch with where that point comes right at the top. And so I always focus on this top part because to me that's the most important. You don't want to chop that point of the flying geese off, and so you want to make sure you definitely have that 1/4 inch seam across the top. So I'm going to get this positioned. I'm sort of at a weird angle here, but I'm going to move this around until I'm positioned where I need to be. So you can see this is coming down and it's hitting my fabric right here. Over here, it's hitting my fabric here in this corner. So I know I'm positioned in the right spot. My crosshatch is right there on the tip of that triangle. And so I will go ahead and trim this side, and I will trim across the top. So that leaves me my 1/4 inch across the top, and I've trimmed off my side. And now I can flip this around. I know these two sides are already trimmed, so now I can just line up this side and the bottom right along that 2 inch by 3.5 inch line, and I can get that lined up. I still have a cross hatch right here that is going to be in the point of that flying geese, and then I can trim the other two sides. The great thing is you're not trimming a ton. It's like 1/8 of an inch all the way around, but it's just enough to get perfect flying geese. So here they are, all trimmed up. I've got 4 perfect flying geese. I've got my 1/4 inch seam here so that when I sew this to something else, it's not going to chop off that point. And so I absolutely love using this tool, using this method, especially when I'm making a ton of flying geese that are identical. So all of the fabric needs to be the same to use this method. But that is how you use the wing clipper. And so this is the wing clipper 1. The one that I'm showing you, the one I showed you, and it has all sort of your standard sizes. It's probably the one you would use the most often because of those standard sizes. But Deb Tecker, who is Studio 180, at some point in time realized that sometimes in a pattern you need sort of those off sizes. So maybe it's 3/4 of an inch. Maybe it's 1/4 of an inch. And so she created the Wing Clipper 2, and this wing clipper also has 10 sizes that you can use, but it's sort of those odd sizes. So you may hold off to buy this tool until you have a pattern that you need 200 flying geese that are this odd 1 1/4 by 2 inches. And so that was when I purchased the Wing Clipper 2. I was working on a pattern and it was a really odd size, and I realized it was one of the sizes that was in her Wing Clipper 2. And now our block party that's doing Summer Moon, we have lots of flying geese that are falling into these sort of odd sizes to fit into our squares. So that is the Wing Clipper 2. And then kind of recently, maybe in the last couple of years, she has decided that she was going to come up with a couple of other wing clippers that quilters might love to have. So this one is called the pint size wing clipper. So you can see it is smaller in size. And this particular tool has, I guess I could flip this over, I'm not sure. It's kind of hard to see. But basically, this particular ruler has it has 4 sizes that are on the Wing Clipper 1, the smallest 4 sizes on the Wing Clipper 1, and the smallest 4 sizes on the Wing Clipper 2. So basically, if you do a lot of smaller pieces in your quilt projects, maybe this is the way to go. If you've never bought either wing clipper before, but you're not going to do huge flying geese, you may want to look at getting the pint size wing clipper, because it's got some of those odd sizes, some of those regular sizes, but it is the smaller sizes of them. So that's the pint size wing clipper. And then I want to say just last year, she came out with the 1/8 inch wing clipper. And so it's the even more odd sizes. But this gives you the 1/8, 3/8, 5/8, 7/8. So for those patterns that call for flying geese on the 8s, that is this wing clipper tool. So all of the tools work exactly the same. It's just the measurements that are changing on it, so that you have the lines to follow. So I absolutely love the wing clipper. I think almost every staff member here uses the wing clipper for their flying geese. And so we thought this would be a great demo to show you what this tool does, why we love it so much, and who doesn't love perfect flying geese to go in their quilt. So thanks so much for listening. Don't forget to share our videos, and we'll see you next time.